This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Detroit is the greatest! Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty scores! A magnificent goal! Darren McCarty!
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Thanks, everybody, for downloading the latest edition of the Motor City Sports Rant. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me, Vito Churko in studio, enjoying the fruits of his labor, here to pick up his chicken, here to pick up his paycheck. So I know that Vito showed up on time to get his comeuppance. Congratulations on your first payday of 2020.
It's taken a while. Might have been a delayed paying, but I will accept it because I have to. I need the money, and thanks for paying me late, but at least I'm getting it.
Let's set the record straight. You just have been so busy in the last part of 2019 and early 2020 that I'm proud of you because I'm not seeing you. That's a good sign. That means you're busy, you're doing your thing, you're branching out, and you're doing the podcast, you're editing for Sports Illustrated Lions Maven, and you're working at Legacy. So it's a good sign that I don't see you. That's how I look at it.
Well, and I love it, too, not seeing you as much as I used to because it was painful at times. But, yeah, I don't have to see you as often now. That's a nice thing.
And there's a benefit to me in that the less I see you, the longer it takes to pay you because...
There you go. Oh, yeah, I know. You're loving it, baby. You're reaping the benefits. When I'm unavailable because I'm too busy with Legacy or this or that, well, you don't got to pay me then. Because you don't, here's the thing, you don't want to pay me via mail. You're not sending a check in the mail. Not going to do that. No direct deposit here. So I got to come in, even if I'm busy, to get my darn check.
Man, Vito, you look good on that microphone. I'm really happy. We're going to start the podcast kind of just checking in with the project, what we're doing with the Detroit Sports Podcast, what we're doing with SI Lions Maven. Then we got to hit on some kind of serious topics in that Tony Paul did a really deep dive on Michigan State and the ramifications of how, bringing in some challenging individuals can put pressure on a program, and what Mark D'Antonio did. Tony Paul did a good work. I don't know if you had a chance to read it. I read it in depthly. He did a lot of work in regards to those involved and what's happened and things like that. We'll talk about that, and then we'll finish the podcast talking about the Lions, some of the interesting news and notes that have arisen since the 2019 season ended, a disappointing season. 3 wins for my first season on the beat covering the Detroit Lions for SI Lions Maven. But we'll get started here. The Project, Vito, in 2019, you would say probably took a turn for the better late August. The project was going along, and we can reflect on 2019. Dave Hogue, respected journalist, came out and actually collected the numbers. He saw the data and put it all together. Vito, 2019, single-handedly the worst 12-month span for any 4 professional team in a city, meaning that the 4 professional teams in Detroit lost the most games combined out of any city in the history of sports. Okay, that's how many losses with the Tigers, Red Wings, Lions, and Pistons over the course of the last 12 months. That's what we covered. And it didn't feel that way because we just got into the flow of critiquing and looking at tanking and looking at all the draft picks. But Vito, the last 12 months, we've recorded over 600 podcasts talking about all things negative in Detroit sports because the teams are not that good. You and I cover the Lions and the Tigers, 2 franchises that are struggling right now, but the other 2 as well. 2019 was just not a good year for Detroit sports. It gives me a good sign because I felt passionate still. I was into it. We podcasted. We did our thing. We did interviews. We still kind of brought information. And then in the later portion of the year, in late August, an amazing opportunity presented itself. Really, when preparation meets some opportunity, you get some luck. And I think that we prepared, and the opportunity to work with an outside entity has been so awesome. I didn't know how it was going to go, but the way it was presented was, hey, you're in control. Doc, do your thing. Put this out there. Basically, if you work hard, you're going to be rewarded. And the fact is, I brought you along with me, and it's been awesome. Now, has it been perfect? No. Could it be better? Of course. But in the overall framework of what we've done, we've advanced ourselves. And that's the goal. Each and every year, try and do a little bit better than the year before. And like I said, to have you along with me, there's nobody else that I could say, okay, deal with me and do this.
Because I know how to deal with you.
Exactly. So you did a great job. And I just think that the project took on a great form in the latter portion of 2019. Did you ever think that it would get to this when you direct messaged me and said, hey, I want to do a podcast?
Not with you. No.
Exactly.
No way. And once I got to know you, less and less likely, I thought. Really quick, though, I am reaping the benefits with this mic in here. I got this big black thing on this mic. What is this called? The windscreen, you said?
Yes.
For the mic. It's beautiful. How do I sound now?
You sound
crispy?
awesome.
I mean, don't I sound even better and more crisp? And I think it's refreshing to hear me, everybody out there, and on the Motor City Sports Rant. So different podcast to be on, but with this mic now, I mean, I'm refreshed. I'm re-energized for 2020, and it should be a very successful 2020 for us because from where we started, right? I mean, where you started in 2013, where I started in 2015, where we started in 2019 even, we never saw this coming with Sports Illustrated being backed by SI, having a Lions site affiliated with Sports Illustrated, and we have wreaked some havoc.
Yes.
We have done that very much. So it's a good thing, though. We've gotten, I think, what we've wanted out of the experience thus far.
Vito, we're in the mix. That's all we ask for. We don't need to be the top. We don't need to be exclusive. We don't need to be the sole place where people go, but I'm proud of the fact that we are a place people go. And what that means to me is that people understand the hard work because some people, obviously now when the season ends, they don't write as much, and that's fine. I get it because they work long hours and they got to do what they got to do. Whereas when January 1st hit, the light bulb went on and said, I want to do more. Okay, the light bulb said, I was happy with how the season went, but I want to do better. And I think that's the attitude that I'm always going to have, which is, hey, we got this many views. I want that many views. Hey, we got that many views. How do we double that? And that's the attitude you have to have in this, is that you don't sit and go, yeah, look at me. We do that on the side. We just shake hands and go, what the hell have we done here? And then you get to work. And I think that's why you've come along, because you see, okay, this guy maybe not doesn't operate the way others operate, but what he's done is put together something that people are aware of. He's put something on the map, and others have given him an opportunity. And when that opportunity has come, I've shared it with you. Vito, look, this is where we started. This is what we got this month. This is what we got this month. Look what we've done. Look what people are talking about. Look at some of the interviews we're lining up. Look at what we're doing. And so the best way I put it is that we now can reinvest in the podcast. We have an opportunity to share our opinions. More people know us. I'm on TV. People know who you are. it's just a fascinating look at when you work hard and you're passionate about something. I love doing this. Like today's my day off. Today's Tuesday. It's my day off. I literally have no clients at the big job. Nothing going on. And I'm here
Why
in the
the
morning.
hell are you here then?
Well,
doing this?
well, because
with me of all people.
Well, because
Well, you owe me money.
Exactly.
There we go. Back to that.
I wanted to give you that because you've earned it. And
Thank you.
And second of all, at least maybe there's a chance you'll ask about my family, which I did first, and you'll check in on me outside of the whole thing.
This realm of the podcast network. Oh, yeah. Can I
Exactly.
never ask about your family?
Nope.
God.
Only,
Fake news. Let me scream it to the masses out there. Fake news from John Charles McElroon.
Oh, maybe it is, but I seem to recall the last time was after I asked about yours.
Oh, good. You remember that, huh? Taking receipts, as a young kid say. Taking some receipts there.
Yeah, so listen, Vito, I cannot thank you enough for what you've done for the project. Look, people that understand that you want to put out great work. And when you want to put out great work, you don't want to be viewed as, what people may think of you or the negatives or what haters may say. So you invest in someone that you think can put together the site. And so at the very least, I know that you're doing good work. Are you doing the best work? Oh, we can debate that off the air.
Are you doing the best work? We can debate that off the air.
Exactly.
How about that?
Exactly. So very true.
Very true. I'm accountable. I'll take it too.
I don't think there's a debate on that. Everyone knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But
everybody knows what you're capable of, okay?
Exactly.
Including your wife at home, Andrea. I know that.
Exactly. But the site looks good. It's clean. It looks good. When people go to it, there's not glaring mistakes. It sounds and looks good, which is a site that when you look at it that's edited, that's what's supposed to happen is you work with a professional, you have your ideas, you give and take, and that's what I wanted. And for the site, it's been a success. If it gets cut off tomorrow, I will kick my feet up and say, what the fuck did we do? And how the hell did we accomplish this from the basement of my house to having a major sports outlet cut us a check? It's amazing.
To make it happen. It has been amazing.
It's
an
been
amazing
fun.
ride so
It's been
far.
fun.
Definitely.
Now we also have to give credit to those that are doing, really solid investigative journalism, whereas we're covering a specific team and podcasting. Tony Paul did an in-depth deep dive on Michigan State. Now I see both sides because I saw some of the replies that he got. Now you can't base reality on messages you get on Twitter. But you know that a certain portion of those people will think that. I was kind of surprised, Vito. Some people said, hey, you're just rehashing old stuff. This isn't news, that you're just beating a dead horse. You're bringing up stuff that has already been addressed and things like that. It kind of does sound like homers that are defending Michigan State. End of the day, it really boils down to what Tony Paul did if you haven't read it. He did a deep dive on the 6 months that Michigan State dealt with a troubled player. They took a risk, and unfortunately that risk turned sour when that player unfortunately committed some egregious acts of a sexual nature, someone that was a player that was viewed as risky, but head coach Mark D'Antonio wanted to take a chance on him. Now, I can understand that aspect of it in that you want, as a football coach, you want to see the best in people. You want to say, because what he set up with this player was Mark D'Antonio set up a weekly meeting to check in on this player to make sure that he was doing okay. He wanted to basically mentor him. He doesn't do that with every player. He set up a meeting time so that this player could potentially get in the mix and turn his life around. But let's not kid ourselves, Vito. The reason why he set that up was because this player could add to his team. And unfortunately, the part that Mark D'Antonio is going to have to answer for, and we're going to figure it out, is why did you not take the advice of those that were advising you, telling you, hey, this guy's got a checkered past. This guy is a troublemaker. I don't want this guy on the same campus as my daughters. This guy's a risk. Because of that fact, unfortunately, that's kind of the seedy side of sports where the answer that he might or may give is not going to make people happy. It's in the pursuit of winning. Now, is that the line for me? Yeah, because I have daughters. If you're a player that's had a checkered past in regards to sexual abuse and somebody that has impulse control problems that may commit these kind of crimes, I can't bring you on. Now, if you've done something like maybe, take a little bit of money on the side, or, you dabbled in weed, or you did like a little cheating on your tests, we can work on that. That's a guy you can mentor. Somebody that potentially could come on your campus and commit sexual abuse and crimes, yeah, Mark should have passed on that. And he was told. That's the part that's tough, is that D'Antonio was advised by his people. This guy's tough. Don't do it. He made that decision. And sometimes I understand it's not all in the pursuit of winning. He wanted to view this guy as a human being that he could mentor and change his life, because he's done that before. He knows D'Antonio's not operating in a vacuum. He knows that he's worked with younger athletes that may have been troubled, that he took time with. That's why they view coaches as father figures. But when it comes down to it, when you are bringing people to your university, it's important what they do, what their character is. It's very important. Now, Mark D'Antonio, unfortunately, based on the decision that he made with this said player, I think he knocked down the credibility of Michigan State. He's now been investigated. He's been deposed in regards to some situations. And it is, unfortunate, a tough part of big-time sports, this notion of what kind of athletes you're going to bring in. By all accounts, he handled it properly in terms of reporting. The one thing that I think you can knock him for is that he didn't call the police specifically, but he said that he assumed that once he reported it to his higher-ups, that would be taken care of. But the bigger question that people have is, Mark, you brought people on the campus that made the campus really unsafe. And then in the end, the player did, in fact, let you down and committed a crime. And others may have been involved and they have kind of moved on in certain realms, but it leads to a lot of questions in regards to the program, what you're doing. And it's just a huge black mark. I'm a Spartan supporter. So seeing this in combination with the other controversies that have plagued the university, the last 5 years of doing this podcast, you can't be as big a fan as you want, because there's these people that are saying, hey, your university has bigger problems than just wins and losses. And when you hear it from that perspective, they're right. Tony Paul did an amazing job. 2 questions for you. Was it worth it to do? And 2, when you look at Mark D'Antonio, do you view him in lesser light now because of the fact that he may have taken a bad risk on a player?
Well, I think to start off, you have to view it like this, too, with these coaches. That if you really think they're your role models or guys that you should be following protocol from or trying to aspire to become off the field too or off the court too, well, a lot of times these best headmen, and D'Antonio was considered one of those guys in college football at one point. Well, a lot of these dudes really aren't the greatest human beings, right, off the playing field. And I think it's been proven, not to slander his name and trash him now completely, but I think it's been proven time and time again that D'Antonio might not be the most upstanding dude. So I think that's been proven through all of this that has occurred. Now, also, there is the facet or aspect of this conversation that, a lot of these coaches will take a chance at a highly talented dude when he has been troubled in the past.
Yes.
This guy, though, Austin Robertson, is a guy that you kept referring to, defensive lineman, was going to fill an immediate need on the defensive line for Michigan State when he was recruited. And D'Antonio had that great 3-year run from 2013 through 15 and was starting to get some recruits. And maybe not the recruits that other schools still were getting, but still some higher-end guys that he wasn't previously getting. Well, Austin Robertson then became a guy that he could get and did recruit to East Lansing. He was a 4-star guy on a scale of 5 stars. So Robertson was going to fill, once again, a need at defensive line and fill a need immediately because of how talented he was. Yet he had, what you said already, John, too, a checkered past that D'Antonio should have been and was, we know down deep, well aware of, and still took this guy in for his program. Still took him in, despite the fact that he had these sexual assault allegations and misconduct allegations previously. And then, like you said, if you have daughters, would you want a guy like that on campus with your daughters? Now, I also say this. I don't need to have a daughter to say I don't want that guy on campus with other women and other men, period. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. To have to deal with that, have to associate with that kind of a guy who has done what he had done previously to women, once again, sexual assault, and had a record of that happening numerous times, not just a one-time offender, a multiple-time offender was Austin Robertson before joining Michigan State. And D'Antonio still took him in despite all of those red flags with him. Well, obviously, he's learned his lesson the hard way since, but he should have known better then. And you know what? He was old enough, experienced enough, but I think also these older dudes don't get it at times. Don't get the optics of it. Don't get the PR side of it. And I think even to a lesser extent, it's been proven with D'Antonio keeping all of these assistants on his staff when he should have gotten rid of them for PR's sake. I mean, Who wanted Michigan State to keep all those guys like D'Antonio has and just to shuffle the deck, right? That's all he did before the 2019 campaign. So there's been so many transgressions on behalf of D'Antonio over the course of the last 5 years, off the field and on the field. And it screams to me, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get the PR side of things. And he felt he was above the law and could get away with anything and keep winning and be unscathed and not face these repercussions that he has now, including with this latest report from Tony Paul of the Detroit News. And you also asked me, should he have written this story? That was the first part of your two-part question. Hell yeah. He's a journalist. What's his job other than to do something like this? And he's a highly credible journalist as well, who dug up these facts, reported this story, and you have to believe all this as true. I mean, honestly, when has Tony Paul gotten a story wrong? Not to suck up to him now big time, but it seems like he has never gotten a story wrong. Always does his due diligence. As he admitted on Twitter, he had worked on this story for a long, long time. So put in the time to dig up all these facts, to write this comprehensive story about what happened with Robertson and with the Michigan State football program. So at the end of the day, I do highly believe Tony Paul, and I believe it was highly worth it for him to write this piece.
It was really good. It was in-depth, looked at it from a multifaceted perspective, probably took a very in-depth approach and took a long time to investigate and got to the conclusions. But at the end of the day, the tough part is, some of the conclusions we kind of knew already, in that programs do this. This isn't new because look what's happening in baseball, and look at what's happening across sports. College sports, big-time sports, pro sports, any situation where you're talking about competing at a certain level, some people will take certain edges to maybe get ahead, maybe will do some things to kind of fast-track for the greater good. Now, this wasn't for the greater good. I think his intention was for the greater good.
You said to mentor. Do you think it really was that?
Yes,
I really believe he was coming from a place where he wanted this highly talented four-star recruit to benefit his D-line.
The part in the story where he sets up weekly meetings. Why would he set up weekly meetings?
Because he had to make sure he wasn't, I know this really sounds brash, but he had to make sure he wasn't raping somebody. I mean, that's not PC at all, but it's the truth. I think he had to make sure he wasn't involved with any of that kind of stuff because he had that checkered record before where he had done it multiple times. Not just, I can see where you want to rehabilitate somebody. We've talked about that before, about rehabilitation and you do as a psychologist and what you do dealing with people. But if you're a multiple time offender, isn't that different than being a one-time offender? And I get he's a young dude, only a high schooler, so maybe you give him a little bit more of a longer leash, right?
Right.
And maybe more leeway. So maybe if it was only twice, but I believe it was 3, 4, 5 times with this guy. Come on, man. That's not a good dude, okay? And maybe it was his upbringing and lack of a positive upbringing. But still, man, you really think at that point you can mentor him completely, totally rehabilitate him? D'Antonio, I don't think you were the guy to completely rehabilitate him. Somebody else should have stepped in and done that for him and, looked after him. I think it would have taken more than that, and I think D'Antonio, obviously at this point, is easy to say, but judged this horribly wrong.
Tough all the way around for the Spartan program, and I think once more the details come out this week, D'Antonio's due a bonus. It's tough because of the fact that I think it's the timing of this and what's being revealed is still under wraps in terms of it, but it's just now continuing to come out, and I think D'Antonio is also getting the benefit of this has kind of already been looked at in that sense, in that it's just kind of what Tony Paul did was organize everything in a
put all the
report.
facts together in one comprehensive piece.
Exactly, but none of it really, in terms of what you understood, basically changes the conclusion, which is conclusion that everybody has to judge, and I think we'll leave it to everybody out there. And message us if you agree or disagree at Detroit Podcast, or message Vito at Vito Jerome. Did Mark D'Antonio put the university at risk to the detriment of his program by taking on an athlete that potentially was not worth bringing on? And I think that most people will say, yeah. Now, what you do with that? Does that tarnish his record? Does that make him a bad dude? Some people will, throw him under the bus and say, his legacy is ruined.
Oh, yeah, I think it's tarnished his legacy really quick here. But if he would have been fired, it would have already happened. So if this piece was a hit piece to get him fired, it's not going to get him fired. But I don't believe it was that from Tony Paul. He's a credible journalist.
Right.
He wasn't looking for that. But if you view it as that, as a Sparty fan or just an outsider thinking that Tony Paul wrote this to get him fired, he didn't do that anyways. That wasn't his intent.
Right.
But also, it's not going to get him fired.
It's not.
He would have been fired before. Now, this is still bad for him, though. Coming out now because of the fact he hasn't won on the playing field. 7 and 6 campaigns the last 2 years. There's almost more fire underneath his behind right now because because of the fact that he's done so poorly the last 2 years on the playing field. So I think there's more of that, and why this maybe the off-the-field stuff now is more relevant again is because of how bad he's done as a head coach at Michigan State the last 2 years. And like I said, to a lesser extent, shuffling the deck of his assistants, not getting rid of anybody from his assistant coaching staff when he should have. All of that added up along with this story, well, that's why maybe he's on the hot seat now. But if this really was so bad for Michigan State, or they would have viewed it as being so bad for their university and their program, they would have let D'Antonio go a long time ago when this first came out.
Yeah, it's tough. See, for me, we've talked about this, Adam and I, on Doc and Jock and several outside conversations in regards to, and maybe it is a weakness on my part, but I'm all about winning. I want to do what it takes
But
to
now
win.
He's not winning. That's the thing. So now it looks worse for him. All this coming out now after 2 straight 7-6 campaigns. I'm going to tell you this much, Sean, and I think you, based on what you just said too, and what I know about you, if he would have had consecutive 10-3 campaigns, and then we saw this report.
He's not going to be as hot.
Not as hot. Now it is.
And yes, and totally your point is taken. Winning cures all, 100%.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I look at it and I say, in the world of big-time sports, this happens. You know what I mean? Alabama,
but not to
Clemson.
this extent. Or doesn't come out.
All right.
Doesn't come out.
This is egregious, yes. At the highest levels of what you don't want to have happen. I think that's what, when these things happen, it kind of lends to organizations and colleges really establishing, okay, these are our boundaries. And I think, too, at the bigger levels, and we're going to talk about that next, I think the Lions have set the boundary, which is no behavior problems. We don't want guys like that at any level. And Adam and I have screamed and yelled and said, if you want to win the Super Bowl, you might have to take one, maybe 2 of guys like that might be troubled but have supreme talent. And I think that's also something that people recognize, is that these coaches take these chances. And it's unfortunate. They maybe shouldn't in regards to that. That should be the boundary. But at the end of the day, too, is that, Nick Saban had an interesting speech, too. He said that, one of his players was 19 years old and made a massive mistake, and the entire Alabama community, writers and media, said to him, throw this kid out. This kid's a toxic individual. He said, no, I mentored him. I sat with him. I understood this kid. This is why I do this. He's 19. He's an idiot. I understand that they make mistakes. They do things on a level that sometimes is really stupid. Now, of course, what we're talking about is at a whole other realm of disaster. We're talking about criminal activity. But what the theme that Nick Saban was saying was that these kids are young. We just don't want to throw them by the wayside. We don't want to toss them out when they make a mistake. We want to embrace them. We want to, show them that, hey, you can make a mistake. You can kind of, make your way through if you rehabilitate, if people support you. And, others came out and said, yeah, because of that, I've become a CEO. I've become somebody that's been respected. Mushin Muhammad, I think, came to his defense and said, yeah, that's how Saban was with me. He mentored me, and now look, I have a company, I have many kids, and I'm very happy, and I'm somebody that is respected in the community. Why? Because of the fact that I made mistakes. I did some things at Michigan State I wasn't supposed to, but I wasn't kicked off the team. I was made to feel part of the community still, and it helped me because I was a young kid. Now I'm a respected businessman. And that's the part you look at, too, is that, coaching is mentoring, but what I think we can surmise from this conversation is that you got to take a serious look at people's criminal backgrounds and make sure you don't put your university, your reputation at risk, especially in the realm of what you're bringing into the program. Winning is important, very important, but not to the level of reputation, not to the level of putting your university at risk.
Let me just say this, too. I believe in second chances. I know you kind of said what you did and made it sound like I'm not into second chances, especially as high schoolers. They're still kids. They're not adults yet. They're not fully grown, and their mental capacities aren't fully grown either, right? So they deserve second chances. But when you're a multiple-time offender, I don't know about that as much. At a big-time university and program like Michigan State, and then Alabama with Saban has the aptitude to do it more often with these kids and to mentor them because he wins so darn often. He wins more than anybody else almost, outside of Clemson, who just won that, or didn't win that national title game, but LSU and Clemson might be that other program right now that can get away with it fully, and maybe LSU now after winning the national title game on Monday night in a game where Joe Burrow was elite, and I wish, John, the Lions could take him, but he's probably not going to slide to number 3 overall, as we know.
Yep. Before we get out of here, before we turn the mics off, got to switch our attention to the Detroit Lions. They're drafting 3rd. I don't think they're taking Tua. They're going to take a defender. I think they're going to take Okudah or Brown, those 2 names, if they stay at number 3. If they trade back, if somebody else wants Tua, the best option in my mind is to trade back. No doubt about it. Get more picks. But here's the reason why I'm not fully on board with that, because I co-sign those that message me and say, do you trust Bob Quinn to, find a talent that's going to play at number 10? No. He picked TJ Hawkinson at number 8. His draft record is spotty at best, 50%, in terms of who he's brought in. He doesn't bring in top-end talent. He hasn't hit on the draft. So do I trust that now? What people want is they want to just make these declarations, but then they don't think things through, just the one extra step. If the Lions do trade back, which I want them to do I trust that Bob Quinn's going to survey the landscape and pick the right guy? No. I feel like if the Lions pick Tua, he'll bomb out and have hip injuries forever. If he goes to the Dolphins, he's going to win a Super Bowl with them. That's the problem with what's going on with the Detroit Lions right now, is that talent evaluation, coaching, not at the level where it needs to be. And here's the other part now that makes things really hard for the Lions. They've been given the win now mandate, and many people kind of assume that, hey, this regime could be gone. So you're not getting big-name defensive coordinators. You're not getting guys that have experience. I wrote a piece on SI Lions Maven that said, are the coaching staff experienced enough to do the job? Bob Quinn hires Matt Patricia, his friend, no experience head coaching. Matt Patricia brings on Corey Undlin, and no experience as defensive coordinator. A guy
top notch, baby.
Top notch.
I can tell that's what you think too. Top notch.
Top notch defensive backs coach.
Yeah.
The Lions, unfortunately, when we look at things, it's just a real struggle to find that hope. And I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to say that I believe in Patricia and things like that. But now to be self-serving, can't root for Patricia anymore. You know why?
Why is that?
This podcaster will openly put it out there to the masses. There's a defensive coordinator in San Francisco of Arabic descent. First defensive coordinator who's Lebanese, Robert Salah. Lebanese.
From Dearborn Fortson to a local connection.
I'll say this. If he comes to the Lions, it's done. It's a wrap.
Winning a Super Bowl. Even with the Ford family still.
No.
What?
I'm going.
Wait, what?
No. I will shed my journalistic situation. I'm going to show up in all the garb, the flags on his introductory press conference when he comes in.
Be waving the flag too in the front? Oh, yeah. I can see it, John.
He's a minority, and he could transcend football. He could be someone that paves the way for the next wave of amazing coaches of Arabic descent. He could be a trailblazer, somebody that could come in here and actually work his ass off, rally a community, and bring it all together. I'm on the Salah train.
And you think you could get exclusive interviews, too, with them because you're Arabic as well. So that's what you're thinking. No, you have this vendetta. I'm thinking ulterior motive, too.
I'm thinking we could share some chicken shawarmas and some hummus.
Yeah, you're looking forward to all that, bonding with this dude and getting some exclusive interviews. I know you down deep, man, what your ulterior motive is here.
It could be something where the best Lebanese head coach could be coaching the Lions, and the best blogger could be covering them.
Or just best Lebanese blogger or media member, because you're the only Lebanese
this could
media
be
member.
A marriage made in heaven. I said, Andrea, Robert Salah's Lebanese. No, don't go to Cleveland. Come to Detroit. What if it happens? I'm like, Andrea, me and Vito could get up to ESPN. We could have inside access. I could be the next Adam Schefter. And she laughed at me and she said, they're going to tell, Robert that you're a clown and that you're an idiot. And I said, yeah, but I'm a Lebanese idiot. And I think
there you go. So you can still bond with them, even though you're an idiot, complete idiot. You'll still bond with them over there. Robert, over the Lebanese.
This is a Robert Salah house. And so, Patricia, unfortunately, I've tried to find positives. Hoping for a 4-win year next year. I don't care.
It's almost better with negativity anyways. Then you have a coaching search that will ensue. Yeah. And he has to be out after a 3-13 campaign, 4-12 campaign, even though he's back after a 3-12-1 campaign. So there's no definitive answer to say right now from you and I that, hey, even if he goes 3-13 or 4-12, that he will for sure be fired. That's how sad it is with the Ford family running this franchise, John.
Before we get out of here, it's just tough to see them turning it around from 3 wins to the playoffs.
You went from 6-3. You regressed. In your second year when people thought you might make the playoffs, at least contend, John, for the playoffs and be competitive on a weekly basis. You weren't even that, and you regressed in the win column. And then you tied a game you should have won. I mean, there were so many games. They blew the leads in. No second half adjustments. The defensive coordinator, Paul Pasqualoni, Coach B, gone. Luckily, he stepped down. And I think, honestly, here's my conspiracy theory. You might already believe this, and it might not be a conspiracy theory. But they talked about it before he stepped down. He kind of said, hey, Paul, can you do this for me to make me look good? Because I wasn't going to fire him. He couldn't do that to his boy and his mentor, Paul P. So I was glad to see that. But
It was mutually agreed upon.
Mutually agreed upon, okay? Really quick to get to what you said about number 3 overall. I'm all for Tua, all aboard that.
Really?
Train as well for Tua.
The hip scares
or
me.
you trade down, or you hope and you pray for it to happen where Chase Young
That ain't happening.
slides to number 3.
It's not happening.
Those are my 3 options for the Lions. If they do anything else, take Okudah, I'm going to be laughing in their faces. You
Yeah.
and I both might be laughing about that pick if they take Okudah
It'd be
at
okay.
number 3.
It'd be okay, but it's not win now because corners take time. He'll get picked
That's
on.
what I mean. They take time to develop. Logan
Yeah.
has talked about that, right, with FSI Lions.
Darius
Davis.
Slay took time.
Everybody has talked about that. So it's true.
It's true. So I find it tough. I think that we are now seeing the last year of this regime. I think
It has to be.
that's
It's
right.
inevitable. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. So why you bring them back when, don't you realize it too? I mean, who were you duped by? What were you duped by? Was it Stafford going down after starting 3-4-1? You were experiencing mediocrity anyways. 3-4-1, you're not a playoff contender at that. You're below 500. So how does that tell you that with a healthy Stafford, we're going to be playoff contenders now? You weren't with them healthy this year. I don't get it, John. As usual with the Lions, though.
Overall, though, the coverage was good, right? We put out a lot of content. We were there. We were insiders. We did everything. What's the one thing that you're most proud of the last 5 months of editing the SI Lions Maven site?
I was wise, made the site look clean. You were asinine and made the site look poor and dirty. So I cleaned it up for you. That's what I'm most proud about from the last 5 months of helping out. And boo me all you want, baby. I appreciate the boos. But I made that site clean, and you know that as well. And you admitted it. Down deep, I made the site look clean. You have the good opinions. You have some creativity. Got to give you credit for that. And just initiating this project,
Yeah,
right, and making it happen. It's on you to have made it happen. So I give you credit for all of that. But to make the site look clean on a daily, or at least almost daily basis, a lot of that is on Big V over here, little commando as you like to call me, and VJ Lucky, Captain VJ Lucky, as I like to call myself.
I think that's the best way to describe you. You're the penicillin of the project. No doubt about
penicillin.
it. You clear up the STDs, baby.
Right? When you're dirty, real dirty from a night out with somebody else you shouldn't have been with,
Take the
I clean it all up.
You're the penicillin. No doubt about it.
Vito Penicillin Churko. Beautiful. Beautiful nickname for me to end this podcast this week.
Follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome.
Vito Penicillin Jerome Churko.
Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow the Detroit Sports Podcast anywhere your favorite podcast is available. Search these 3 words, Detroit Sports Podcast, daily content dedicated to Detroit sports. It's been a fun ride, and look for more content each and every day from us. Message us if you agree or disagree, if you hate everything that we've said. Look, feel free, message us. We love debating and engaging with our supporters. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. We read each and every single tweet. Thanks to the fine sponsors of this broadcast. Go today and check out MotorCityPawnBrokers.com. Or if you're in the area, Detroit, Ferndale, Roseville, Warren, go into one of their fine locations. Mark and the crew, they're dedicated to providing great customer service. Thanks, Vito.
John needs that penicillin, baby. Adios.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.